Thank you, Ritu. Thank you, Nis, for giving our center this opportunity to collaborate with you on this conclave. And it's really nice to see my friend, Professor Chang from Fudan University. Great to interact, even though it is online. Well, you know, the rise of China, it is the most geopolitical reality of the 21st century. And there are various shades of this reality. It has been seen with admiration by people across the globe. And it has also been seen with pride, especially developing countries, that if China can do it, we can also do it. And it has also been seen as an opportunity, you know, by various developing countries. And of course, some of the countries, especially developing countries, are also emulating China. Perhaps India too, in some way, is emulating China in various ways. And then finally, it has also created fears in the minds of people, for it has created asymmetrical political, economic, and military equations. So I would like to use two assumptions to further expound my point of view. So one is which looks rise of China through civilizational approaches, and I have also written a lot on these approaches, especially in my smaller write-ups in Indian media. And this is also essentially not to look at rise of China through area studies approaches, which spells that China's rise is unique. It upholds that China has immensely contributed to the human kind in terms of philosophy, ancient innovations, trade and commerce, so on and so forth. And I believe, you know, in the reform era, the narrative, this kind of narrative has been continued. It has been seen, witnessed, and which argues that the path of development China has sought is very unique path. It seeks peace and mutual benefits. This not only harmonizes the international order, but also enable China to uphold its independence, social system, and choice of life or lifestyle. The road of peaceful rise, in fact, I will not go into the debate of peaceful rise since the 90s and then 2003, you know, taken into political speeches, right from Deng Bijian to Hu Jintao and then Wen Jiabao and so many other people from 2003 onward. So the peaceful rise or the development as it was changed in 2006, it seeks harmony with others, partnership with China's neighbors, and friendly coexistence with other countries on the basis of 5 principles of peaceful coexistence. Economically, it seeks to integrate with the global economies, with the regional economies, and of course, naturally seeks China's new role in global development equation, which of course has been propounded by Chinese leadership time and again, how it contributes to global economy. Almost 33% of global GDP today, it comes from the Chinese contribution. And of course, it would like to be a constructive and responsible player in international economic system or activities. Politically, the notion would enable China to actively and constructively participate in international affairs, be a challenger rather than a moot spectator to the events, and aspire for a democratic, peaceful, and multipolar world. So these are pronounced by the Chinese leadership, and even in the writings of Chinese scholars, so we can find these formulations. And I have quoted these formulations from 中国的崛起，一个东方大国的成长之路。And various people that have contributed papers in this book, though a slightly older edition, 2004, but I think very, very relevant, talking about, so this aspect of this paradigm of China's rise. And of course, this also spells that that China's peaceful rise is an antidote to hegemony, hot war, cold war, China threat, disintegration of China abstract theories and notion. It is a promise to the world that the rise of China is peaceful. And of course, it denounces China as a coercive, hegemonic, and revisionist power. So this brings to me the second assumption, which is based on this IR theories of structural realism, especially neoclassical realism, which Professor Zhang also mentioned about offensive and defensive realism. And of course, it believes that China's rise is like any other rising power, because any rising power, it will seek influence to achieve security through domination and hegemony, whether it is in the economic sphere or military sphere, even territorial expansion. And I think various people, so they are attributing it or this kind of paradigm shift to the new era, where we have seen the wolf warrior diplomacy between U.S. and China, and maybe various fissures in U.S.-China relationship, trade wars, even EU canceling trade deal with China, India-China relationship, going to the nadir, China, ASEAN in South China Sea, China, Japan, and this doesn't rule out the Thucydides, trap, as pointed out by Graham Allison in his study, and various contemporary American scholarship, and including some of scholars in our country, in India. So they also believe that China is an extremely coercive and revisionist power. So now these two assumptions, of course, people of different camps, so they will have their own interpretation. But I would like to flag out, a couple of things to spell out what the Chinese scholars, especially some of the leading scholarship, and I'm sorry, Professor Zhang, that some of them, they are from your university, Fudan University, and very close to the Chinese central leadership. And maybe some of the notions, as you spelled out, in terms of nationalism, so maybe they, to some extent, are also responsible for this. One is, will China adhere to the existing international order? Even though China has stated that it has benefited from the existing order, it has been able to, uplift so many peoples by playing by the rules of existing international order. But I think if you go through some of the speeches and writings of professors like Professor Yitong Shang of Renmin University, you would be surprised, kind of argument. So he will have. In fact, he posits that China is wanting to create its own China bubble away from the American bubble, because so far, so China has been playing by the rules of this American bubble, or the so-called American dream. So now it would like to see China at the center of the Chinese bubble, and that's what exactly he believes is the rejuvenation of the Chinese national dream, including the Belt and Road, and maybe the community of shared future. I hope Professor Zhang must have gone through his this entire interview, which is 2 months old. And it's very bizarre that he envisages building a community of 5 billion people away from the Western order, where almost 100 cities in these industrial areas on the lines of like Hamanbatota and Gwadar would be established, having a population of 10 million people. Out of these 10 million, 1 million would be Chinese, and surprisingly, they would be all speaking Chinese. And there would be no scope for multiculturalism as far as original China is concerned. This is the so-called New China man, Professor Titung Sheng of Renmin University. He's the Vice Dean of School of International Studies there. So he is saying all kinds of things. Second thing is, then of course, these kind of postulation and formulation. So they will haunt people as far as this China threat or the fear of China's rise that it will create. The second thing is, will it be the economic and technological center of the world? China may be on the way to become the largest economy of the world, but as Professor Tang has pointed out, that there are huge gaps between the existing superpower and maybe the other Western economies. So China's development model of the reform era, or say the era of deep globalization, I think it is developing fishes, and it has faced many challenges from the deglobalization and decoupling in certain high-tech industry, as has been witnessed between United States and China. Even big companies like Huawei, they are diversifying their businesses to car manufacturing, from the original chip making endeavors. And of course, the COVID-19, it has accelerated disruption of supply chains in China. So therefore, the drivers of China's market growth in the US and maybe the rest of the Western country it is likely to shrink in the coming days. And as far as technology is concerned, again, I think people like this Zhang Qichao of the equity capital expert, he is advised to major Chinese banks, including Central Bank of China, Construction Bank, Industrial Bank, so on and so forth. And he, in a lecture, he publicly admits, and these are his own words, ye man chaoxi, barbaric plagiarism of China, and coming at par with some of the leading technological powerhouses of the world. But what is next? Though China may have initiated this Make in China 2025 ambitious fourth generation industrialization program, but whether the goal of 70% self-sufficiency in core technology will be achieved by 25, post-pandemic, it is quite debatable. But it's regional grip, especially in Asia, Southeast Asia. If you see the economic cooperation and connectivity with these countries, I think it is huge, and it will continue to play a big role in this region as well as in the world. Now, the third point is, will it be breaking through the Indo-Pacific strategy, which is a great concern for various countries, including India. No doubt, so China has become blue water navy for the first time since 1949. I would say, however, to match United States, it still is a huge asymmetrical gap, especially in the context of power projection. You see, if you see the American bases around the world, more than 800 bases are there in 17 countries and territories around us. But with the kind of assertiveness China has displayed in South China Sea, including our borders, northern borders, the peaceful rise has, I would say, so not many takers, especially if you see the bigger stakeholders in the region, especially Japan, India, Australia, and maybe other countries in Southeast Asia also. And finally, I will conclude in a minute because I think I've already taken my time. So finally, I think it is going to be the Chinese, whether the Chinese values and institution will be accepted to the world. So this is the bigger question, which I think the Chinese themselves they should be answering. So even if they think that the governance model of China is much better, than Washington consensus, but Professor Dongshang, according to his view, bifurcating the original China, the mainland China, and the new Chinaman. So it believes that so there is there's a problem there, and whosoever listens to Professor this interview, I think it is quite disturbing the way some of the people in China, so they think about a community of a shared future, the Belt and Road, and how they would like to implant their governance model in these cities which would be newly created on the line of maybe Haman Batoda. They are still coming into shape, so we will know about these in the coming days. But I think as far as South Asia is concerned, since most of the countries, so they are smaller, they would not like to be given the choice of choosing between China or any other emerging giant in the regions. They would try to find balance between these countries, including the offshore powers like United States. So with this, I will finish it. Thank you.